What is going on, YouTube? This is Jim, and today I want to talk to you guys about Titanfall 2. Specifically, Stephen DeRose, the multiplayer game designer for Titanfall 2, took to the official forums to discuss some of the tweaks and fixes we will see in this weekend's Titanfall beta round number 2. So, I like that the developers do this. I was pretty critical of the first Titanfall, although I did like it. I was really surprised that they took such a different direction of Titanfall 2. And if you want to go back and see what my initial thoughts were on it, you could watch the video, which should be right around here-ish. And you could click through that and watch and see what I thought about it if you're just coming to this fresh. But if you just want to hear what the new stuff going forward is, you came to the right place. So, let's dive right into it. First of all, something I did not realize is that the build that we played, the tech demo that we played a week ago, was actually a few months old. So I'm kind of surprised that they would send something back so far. Now, I guess I can understand that there are certain limitations to what you do and do not want to show. So there has to be some gutting, as it were, of the software. But a couple months old, it almost passes it off like, hey, we don't really care what your guys' opinions are because that's already old and we're not onto that anymore. But then I read through his points and it kind of contradicts that because there are a lot of changes that they seem very surprised about that the fan base didn't like and they are going to address. So either way, it's nice that this era of this community manager, this back and forth between the fans and the developers does exist, and it still is going strong today. So first and foremost, they talk about pilot mobility. And they say that there were some issues with the original Titanfall, which made them rethink pilot mobility, rather. The first was that a lack of player predictability would often cause players to be shot from the back or the sides. While flanking is an important part of the game, gameplay depth, it often felt random instead of skillful. The second issue that they had was that close-range firefights were overly chaotic due to erratic player movement. So, what they're saying is that when you're running on a wall, it's very clear what direction you're going to go in. I don't see how this is any different than any other multiplayer game in which you are leading shots, in which you are seeing the direction a person is going, but they felt that there was too much of that, which is why they changed the mobility. However, they say while investigating this point, we discovered that there were some unintended side effects that were causing players to lose momentum. As a result, they will be tuning air speed and wall running speed to be faster. So, they say it's overly erratic. They say you already can predict the way they're going to go. They're going to make it faster and when you're wall running. Now, I think it's pretty hard to aim already while you are wall running. It's going to be even more so now, which really, in my opinion, plays more into the grappling hook as that way to kind of ground where you're running. Because when you're running on the wall and you're picking up speed, which apparently they're going to be doing, we don't know to what factor yet, your reticle is going to be going crazy as you're trying to hit somebody who's most likely running towards you, probably on the ground. I still feel that that is a weak engagement, but that was the way that the original Titanfall was intended. That was kind of the whole mechanic behind wall running, for this blazing speed to kind of outmaneuver your enemies or advance your position. Not really so much to engage in a firefight during a wall run. However, they said they are going to be adjusting it. So for everybody who is complaining about that, good news, it sounds like it's going back to what was in the original Titanfall game. They also say that they're testing some scaling back of the dampening factors that were limiting bunny hopping. So we may see more bunny hopping, better or worse in the future. I don't really care one way or another. I don't feel there should be a penalty for bunny hopping. If you want to jump around like an idiot, go right ahead. People do it to me all the time in Halo. It doesn't stop me from killing them, so whatever. Anyways, that's the first point. Second point, the Titan meter. Now, this was something that a lot of people, myself included, took a major gripe to because it's a game called Titanfall, and there was no Titan because the only way to get a Titan was by a lot of kill streaks and killing, and as a result, you sometimes would go a match if you were not that great at Titanfall and not even get a Titan. We've made some changes in Titanfall 2 with the goal of rewarding players for playing the game. However, we found out that players were playing the objective but were failing, resulting in slower than intended Titan acquisition. We still want objectives to be the fastest way to get a Titan. However, we want a player being guaranteed a Titan. Hasn't changed. So, in other words, pilots will once again acquire a small passive amount of Titan meter every few seconds, which is just like the original game, by the way, which is what we wanted, which is good. So it's going to reward the players who are better to get Titans faster, but for everybody else who's okay or is kind of taking their time in defending points or kind of focusing on grunts or whatever they happen to be doing, they're still going to get a Titan 2. I think this is a great change, and I'm very, very happy for this. I think it's going to make next week's beta all the better. Titan survivability. This was another point that I talked about. I felt that Titans were significantly too weak in this, and they died way too fast, and the damage they did was not really on par with what I would expect from a giant mechanical robot, okay? I was playing as Scorch using the Flame Whip, and I wasn't hitting a pilot dead on, and it wasn't killing him. And I'm like, what do I got to do to kill this guy? Do I got to jump out of my Titan and go shoot him with my gun? Because that seems to be the only thing that's working. They say this is one of the more complex issues. In Titanfall 1, Rodeo was lethal to Titans, forcing pilots to disembark and engage in a 50-50 fight. In Titanfall 2, the Rodeo pilot steals a battery and damages the Titan. If they can give that battery to a friendly Titan, that Titan receives a shield, and that pilot gets Titan meter points. I was totally unaware of any of this, but that sounds like a really cool mechanic. However, I don't know how many people are going to steal a battery and give it to somebody else. They're probably just going to run around like crazy. I don't really necessarily see this being like a team shooter in that sense. Everybody's just running around, running amok. Use their grappling hooks and wall jumps like animals. But okay, leave that mechanic in there. I think that actually is really, really cool. As players become more familiar with the system, we expect the Titans will live longer. So again, if you want to start buffing your friends or buffing buffing other Titans to keep them up in the fight longer, we think that's great. Another factor is that the balance of Titan gameplay in the tech test is heavily affected by the limiting amount of content we released. So they're blaming the fact that the Titans sucked on the fact that they couldn't show you everything, which I think is a lot of BS. For example, some Titans that weren't in the tech test have strong defensive abilities, while certain Titan kits provide defensive upgrades, and even pilots have a boost that can improve Titan defenses. Lastly, there's been a lot of tuning since the tech build that will tone down the amount of damage done to Titans. Thank you, that's all we wanted. We didn't want Titans to be wusses, so they are going to at least take a little more damage. Now, I'm not so sure I buy in on this whole idea that, well, the Titans didn't have their whole kits installed, so there's no way that they could be that powerful. I think Scorch had every ability that I think he's going to have in the final game, and he was still weak as heck. The reloading time on his shot was way too long. His abilities took way too long to cool down. I don't see what they could do to give me more abilities unless they want me to just cycle through like 40 different abilities and I have like a gun on my left arm, a gun on my right arm, a rocket, a this, a that, like 10 different things. They just need to make the weapon stronger. So they don't really talk too much to that. They don't really say that. All they say is there's been some tuning. They're not really specific on what. I suspect when we play the beta this weekend, we're going to be happier that Titans can take a little more damage. And maybe by the fact that we can take more damage, we can, in theory, inflict more damage. So maybe it's a wash in that sense, but I still feel Titans are a bit too weak. And I have a feeling that this is going to have to be done more. But at least they addressed the point. They basically told you to stick it, but at least they addressed the point. Titan mobility, they said that they've reduced the number of dashes in Titanfall, which I was very well aware of, but Titans have access to a new Titan kit that provides an additional dash. This is new balance mobility. However, despite all that, we heard your feedback, and we feel the Titans are too slow, so Titan dashes will recharge faster. Another good change. If you're going to have the pilots running speed faster, if you're going to have their wall jumping around and all that stuff faster, you got to keep the Titans up to speed with the pilots. That's what they're doing. I think that's a positive change. Map design. This is the last point. Oh, I'm sorry. There's two more. Map design and HUD. Map design. They felt that a lot of people felt that the new map sucked. I, for one, said I didn't understand how the running lines were, and a lot of times I felt like I was just slogging along through a field out in the open, pure sniper bait. I didn't really feel like I had a lot of cover, although I did like the map design in of itself. I felt like it was more open in that sense. For Titan maneuverability, there wasn't really a lot for a pilot to do, and there was many times I was out in the open, and a Titan would kill me as I was running around as a pilot because I had absolutely nowhere to go. And what do they say? We will be showcasing more maps over the next couple of weeks on our website, including more traditional maps. So I don't expect the maps to change this late in the game. They've obviously been tuned or balanced or tweaked or whatever they've been done to them. However, it sounds like going forward in the future, we can expect better, more conventional maps. Now, I hope, the caveat with that, I hope that they understand that Titan maneuverability and Titan just overall situational awareness is still important. So they have a difficult task on their hand. I feel like the original Titanfall maps are too corridor-based. They're very easy for pilots to get the jump on a Titan because Titans had to walk down very narrow buildings. You were getting stuck on curbs, on little trees and shrubs and everything. It seems like they've fixed a lot of that, but I still feel like there needs to be more stuff in the map. I would like to see more cover that Titans could walk over and pilots could crawl under. I think that would probably alleviate a lot of the issues because you wouldn't feel like you're out in the open. But they say more maps are coming. I don't know how much I believe this in the sense that I think of like what Destiny's first 2 expansions were. They were already in the books. Similar with this, I feel like a lot of these maps are already in the books. And we're not going to really see a new approach on map design until much later on, much longer after launch. I feel like that has already been completely done. HUD. They said the HUD is a little too busy. At launch, Titanfall 2 will have a menu option that allows players to turn off individual features based on their preferences. And there's also been concern that enemy outlines are too easy to see in the distance. We feel that this is an important friend or foe feature, but however, we're going to fix the fade distance so that enemy outlines don't reveal pilots at extreme distances. And then they thank everybody for their support. More's coming soon. Blah blah blah. Kumbaya. And they're still sticking to their launch date, and they're still marching ahead. So we will see. Does this alleviate all the concerns that a lot of the hardcore Titanfall fans had at launch? I think it's a good start. I think we're going to probably see another Q&A session following the second Titanfall beta this weekend. And then after that, it's going to be what it's going to be. There was a lot of criticism. The game was heavily panned. I'm glad that they responded in some capacity, but I still feel like there's even more to be done. Again, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what the official launch game is going to be like, but I think that they're kind of going in the right direction. So maybe our expectations were like down here, and maybe they're like up here now. Maybe. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. That's everything on Titanfall 2. I'm going to post a link to this Q&A in the comment box below, so you guys could or the description box below, so you could check it out and read it for yourself. If you think that I butcher words, you may be right. And even though this pop filter blocks all my P's and B's, I may have inverted or twisted around some words or whatever that you just want to read it for yourself. So it's going to be there. You can read it for yourself. Sound off below. Let me know what you think. Did Respawn Entertainment get it right? Did Respawn Entertainment get it wrong? I want to hear from each and every one of you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.